Will you send every illegal immigrant that you find in the state of Texas to Washington, D.C.?
We're going to load them up and send them to Washington, D.C. If we run out of room there, Delaware looks like a great location. We are sending them to the United States Capitol, where the Biden administration will be able to more immediately address the needs of the people that they are allowing to come across our border.
Remember when Greg Abbott said in Texas that if the federal government is going to drop migrants off in Texas, we will provide them free bus rides to our nation's capital? That is a bus with 2 or 3 dozen migrants on board.
And so we keep coming up with new ideas to do the federal government's job. You know, Sean, it's an atrocity that we have a president of the United States that is not securing the border. Texas is taking unprecedented action. As we're speaking right now, Sean, the 7th bus is en route from Texas to Washington, D.C.
There's truly no conversation in politics as ridiculous as Republicans talking about the border. From salacious gossip like Lindsey Graham claiming there was a horde of immigrants coming to Connecticut wearing Gucci belts, to appalling statements from Tucker Carlson that immigration is akin to an invasion. There's no shortage of galaxy brain takes on immigration from the right. And now Greg Abbott has a new, even more ridiculous talking point that he's putting into action, sending buses of migrants to D.C. and President Biden's home state of Delaware. This is kind of a self-own in a way, though, because in my opinion, sending refugees and people seeking to immigrate to cities and states across this country is a really good idea. The Texas governor told Sean Hannity the situation at the southern border is, quote, an atrocity, which is something right-wing power figures turn to when things are slow in the news cycle and they need to drum up racist fear-mongering, rather than, I don't know, talk coherently about immigration policy or help their own constituents who are immigrants. This is why the immigration conversation so often veers into idiotic and degrading territory, because the right consistently pits immigrants and working class Americans against each other, seeing it as a safe way for them to retain power by stoking fear, instead of tapping into people's goodness or acceptance. Abbott knows it's much easier to stoke the fires of white supremacy, but in his attempt to own the libs, Abbott clearly owned himself, and like I said earlier, his plan to send immigrants to Delaware is not lost on Republicans online who don't want to welcome them to the US at all. It's so bad that even the folks at Fox and Friends are confused.
Rachel, I come to you first.
Wow. So, listen, when I first heard that he was going to have buses and take everyone over to Washington, D.C., I thought, well, it's a gimmick. A lot of them are El Salvadorans who probably could use a ride to D.C.
Campo Stuffy saying that, quote, it looks like they're getting greeted with a bunch of NGOs who know that they're going to arrive and they're given packets. I'm not sure I get this. So while Fox and Friends is mad that the immigrants are being treated nicely upon their arrival in the Capitol, Abbott clearly fell flat on his face, and people in his own party seem troubled. Of course, there's nothing funny about his strategy of busing migrants from state to state like cattle, but he should be embarrassed that he can't even figure out his own messaging here. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.